So hey, I'm Joe from Infinite Momentum, Spotted Joe. Name's up in the air, screw that crap. I'm just caring about the content right now anyway. Nice to meet you, Phil. We met over at
Thanks for having
Rutgers,
me.
and I'll let you introduce yourself.
My name is Phil. I do freelance video in New Jersey, and yeah, we met at Rutgers, and you asked me to do this kind of video chat, and I'm happy to be able to do it.
Cool. I noticed that you have a name on your shirt, and I'm curious about that. I mean, I know who it is, but
Yeah, it's
listeners
actually,
might
I got off a shoot this morning, but film is basically a play on words of my name. My name is Phil, and I film things. So a while back, me and my brother were having like jokes like, "You're going to film stuff today, film," and it kind of caught on, and ended up creating my brand around this name. And I like it. It's catchy.
it's almost like you were born for it.
Yeah, people have said that as well.
So I noticed that you were selling this drone,
Hmm.
and I'm curious what it is about equipment that matters and what it is about. I'm kind of like diving deep into here, but like, does it matter so much the equipment or the skill or a little bit of both, or how do you?
Yes, my answer is yes, because uh, really equipment doesn't matter, but it matters. So if you can create basically like when you start off, it doesn't really matter as long as you can create like have the tools to generally create what you're looking to do. What you're recording with and what you're using doesn't really matter. As you move up, you kind of have expectations for clients to do maybe something really specific or have a certain kind of quality to your videos that kind of put them ahead of others, or create a look that you wouldn't be able to create with equipment that would have less value, or generally the things that do what you need to do end up being expensive, unfortunately. There are ways around that, but yeah, gear is important, but it's not everything.
Okay, so it's almost like at first the bottleneck is not your equipment; the bottleneck is your skill, and then once
Yeah,
you develop your skill, then the bottleneck will be your equipment, and that's when it would be good for people to expand their equipment so that it's not a bottleneck anymore. Am I hearing you right?
exactly. Yeah, definitely. As you go on, you kind of, as you start making more, your equipment kind of goes along with it.
Cool. And I want to backtrack a little bit because that was a question that kind of popped into my head. But I want to
Sure.
just explain a little bit why I chose to interview you. And it really goes into how I feel you're what I call an alpha artist. And the reason I say that is because you're in control of your direction, and you also are doing something that you feel is valuable. And I can tell by the way that you talk about it, the way you share about it on social media. You're not doing it for anyone else. You're doing it for you, and you're enjoying it. Now, sure, it's a business. You have to cater to your clients. I understand that you can't do everything you want unless you're like Jason Jordan Pollock or like another artist. But even they have to advertise themselves to make people want them. You can't just do what you want and expect people to come. But you seem to
Mhm.
do something that you really enjoy, and I wanted to exemplify that passion aspect, and also the fact that you're also very disciplined and engaging in your skills, and you have a good business sense of things. And I'm
Got it.
curious.
Well, I appreciate that. Um, I appreciate that. What I'd say is that yes, I do kind of strive to make what means something to me. A lot of the time that doesn't happen because I'm basically doing work for other people. Now, I don't feel like that gets in the way of me becoming kind of involved in that project, whether it's something that I really kind of know about or don't know about. But essentially, like, I strive to do the best of what I can do regarding that project. So, like, if it's something that real estate, I wasn't really interested in real estate before I started doing it, but I kind of learned kind of the best way I can do it and kind of look for best video approach to do that. And I guess that's where kind of the gear aspect of things and like the editing and all that kind of comes into play. And I get a little more passionate about kind of what's capable with this rather than from the beginning it's something that is completely alien to me, and I wouldn't kind of seek this out on my own if the client didn't come to me for this.
Interesting. So the tool, so video was more like a tool you used to explore different avenues you weren't necessarily
Definitely.
passionate about, but getting better in your skill was something that gave you motivation and kind of an intrinsic motivation, something that I would call passion. Um, the video, and it was like the medium for other things. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly, definitely. That's actually why I choose the freelance over working for a specific kind of company that would limit myself to doing like a certain kind of work. That's why I do a little bit of weddings, music videos, kind of promotional videos, and whatever else kind of comes on my way, because every project's different and you get to experience a large variety of work relating to that.
Cool, cool. When you started, what can you just describe that? Because it seems like from what you say, it was more of a gradual thing. I'm
Yeah.
kind of curious if you could share where this all came from.
Sure. I originally started making videos just of me, my friends and I riding BMX bikes around town. We would watch videos online of like people doing tricks and different things like that. And I would just grab my cell phone and record like a clip here and there and piece it together in Movie Maker. Not really thinking much of it, but that's what it was at the time. From that, it kind of progressed to picking up like a GoPro for more interesting angles, underwater stuff, and that led me to create things like a summer kind of end of summer compilation video where it'd be like to music, and it would be something that shows all the adventures I had over the summer. It was really a joy to make, even though it was like a lot of work, cutting like 6 hours of like footage down to like 6 minutes at the time. But that's kind of where it taught me kind of what I like and kind of gave me enjoyment to kind of push myself into the process. I didn't really start considering video seriously until I got to freshman year of college, because when I got there, I initially wanted to do engineering, but as I went along, basically figured out that engineering's not for me. It was pretty difficult classes and kind of just wasn't what I expected. And from that point, it was a lot of people online in the video industry that were basically showed me like this is something you can do to make money as a living, and it kind of just like clicked for me at that point. It was not like all of a sudden I started making videos, but like at that point I started exploring more of that, like I need to keep making videos to learn, first teach myself and also show what I'm capable of to other people, and kind of it went from there.
Hmm. It's interesting because it's almost like you weren't really planning it. It just kind of happened because you started to do something because it was fun, and then you kind of enjoyed it, and then it developed from there. Um,
Absolutely.
I'm curious if there was any point you stopped and kind of looked at it and were like, you know what, is this a path I want to go, or is this not a path I want to go, or if it was always just kind of one solid direction.
I would say there's always a little bit of a doubt involved when you're kind of pursuing anything that's kind of new and different than what's standard. When I was switching over from engineering, I was like, what about the money? What about this? And like I kind of, I did worry about that in the beginning, just because I didn't have like an understanding, like how am I going to make money off of this? But as time went on, I kind of found that it's possible, and I became less worried about that. And with each year that goes by, I kind of like become more accustomed to the idea of being a freelancer, which may continue for however knows how long.
Hmm. And this is at a point right now where it pays your bills, right? Or do you do other things?
At the moment, since I graduated, I've been freelancing full time. Fortunately, I'm able to be kind of supported by my family at the moment, but I think I'm getting to a point where, yes, it's sustainable, and I think that like it took like the year and a half out of college to kind of get it up in motion to where it is now, and I think that yeah, it does pay the bills.
Yeah. And I'm kind of curious, when it comes to the business side of things, did that come naturally? Did you purposefully educate yourself on that?
A little bit of both. I found that I always had a knack for making like, when I was younger, I'd make like little companies of like booklets of like, and kind of brochures about like imaginary companies, and like put a lot of like work into like breaking down what they are and stuff like that. And I kind of realized that like that kind of interest and attention to detail kind of translated over to managing my business in terms of like, I love keeping track of how much I make and like how much I spend, and keeping track of like all like the details, and creating the actual branding on its own was part of that. And I think kind of I learned a little bit as I went, but a lot of it was kind of just creating a Facebook page, website, and kind of a logo. Like all that was enjoyable for me.
So that was, so it seems like you from an early age were doing entrepreneurial stuff already. It almost was like this was a natural consequence of where you came from.
Yeah, I don't think I ever realized that at the time, and it was like maybe I wouldn't even something I would call entrepreneurial, but definitely along the lines of kind of the idea of a small business and like your own brand always brought interest to me, and I think that definitely kind of led me to where I am today.
Hmm. Do you ever feel like, oh, if you were, okay, let me phrase it this way. If there was a version of you that was younger, that was just starting out, and you kind of saw him and he was filming BMX bikes and stuff, and you were like, what should I tell him?
Um, yeah, that's a question I hear asked often. Um, for myself, I would say that I did wish I kind of jumped into kind of exploring photography and video a little bit sooner. It's not that I'm pretty young for what I do. I'm 22 right now, and I think that for where I'm at, I'm happy. But it would have been really nice to kind of seeing high school me recording bikes, like kind of explore that interest a little bit more at the time, and kind of maybe I would have started a little bit sooner and been like maybe a year ahead than what I am now. But no complaints whatsoever. But my feedback would be is to kind of explore your interests and your passions, kind of if you think they can lead somewhere.
Mhm. And that's another interesting thing is a lot of my subscribers are creatives who are interested in following their passion. It's one of my core, the core things I talk about is how to create something that you love, that other people also like, that they'll pay you for, that you can live on. Um, and there's so many differing opinions out there, and a lot of the opinions are, of course, because the people who say them either failed or maybe they succeeded, but they don't know why. So you don't always get really good information when you're talking, when people talk about their passions. They're like, oh, don't ever do that because they couldn't do it, or
Yeah,
always do it because they did it, but they don't know what it took. They don't know why they succeeded. So I'm kind of
right.
curious your take um, on finding your passion and following it to create a sustainable living and a sustainable way of life.
So the question is kind of how to make your passion into something that's a sustainable way of life.
Yeah, yeah. Look, how would somebody listening to this who's like, I have this passion and I want it to be my life, how could they pursue it to make a sustainable income but still make it enjoyable and not like a job?
Definitely. Well, speaking from the aspect of video, in my case, I do have certain projects that I come along that aren't as enjoyable as others, but I think there's always a balance that exists. You can always do like a few kind of corporate interviews that have not really much like emotional value or interest in your own personal life, but you can always go out and have that free time to create a project that does mean something to you. That means even if it's with some friends for free, or even like kind of finding, for example, a music artist that has a vision that's similar to yours. So as long as you're able to balance kind of the business side of things of like making money off of jobs that'll pay the bills, and then also jobs that might even be paid, but also are things that you enjoy or kind of collaborate with your own personal vision, that's how I'm kind of able to keep my passion, creative vision afloat at the same time as still having a business, because otherwise I think I'd be pretty kind of unmotivated if I wasn't able to like just go out, take photos, and make small videos with friends every once in a while.
Hmm. So it's finding a balance between the stuff that gives you money and then the stuff that you love. And of course, doing as much of the stuff that you love that gives you money, but understanding it's not always going to be there. So to keep yourself charged, to plug into that
Exactly.
passion, um, you'd suggest doing your own projects on your own time if the stuff that you're getting is kind of dry, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Passion projects are very important.
Cool. Do you have anything you want to say to the audience, to the readers, or any website, something like that?
Sure. If you want to check out my work, it's filmmedia.com. I have some work that I've put up there throughout this,
And
and
for ones listening to just the audio, how do you spell that?
PHILMMEDIA, media.com. So filmmedia.com. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
I appreciate you having me.